welcome back to the CSS podcast. I am your host, Dave, and that gentleman there is Charlie Crawley. Unfortunately, our third host cannot be here today. Sam is a little under the weather, or really a lot under the weather. He called this morning, and he could hardly talk. So hopefully he's out there listening, watching on YouTube. So get well soon, son. And then that way we can have our full crew back. So, let's just go right into things here, Crawl Dog. You were at the game yesterday, UC, the week that was, and 0-7 or
2-7.
2-7. 0-7 in the Big 12. Yeah, 7 losses in the Big
0-7 in the Big 12. Yes.
0-7 in the Big 12.
Only
0-6
team left in the Big 12.
Yeah. 0-6 in the Big 12 because they did.
0-6. Yeah.
They lost to Miami. So
they're the only winless team left.
Yeah, so they lost 28-26. I'll recap it for us.
It's kind of a broken record. You could probably replay whatever I said last week or the week before, or maybe even the week before that, I'm sure, or roll those together. It's just a lot of, the bad mistakes of bad times, and they just seem to hit UC, and maybe it's because they're just not good enough. It probably is because they're not good enough. I don't think it's, I don't think you make excuses when you lost 6 in a row. You're just not good enough. Talent's not good enough. Now UCF not very good either. Clear as day that if anybody will watch that game, they're not very good either. So it was a battle of who's going to screw up the most. I think who's going to lose that game, and UC did it. Real bad turnover at the end of the first half when they were down 14-10. Even if they get a field goal, they lose by 2. You get a field goal to make it 14-13. Well, there's your 3 points. You'll win the game. Or you make UCF do something different than they did in the second half because it's a closer game. So a bad turnover there. That was Emory Jones. He didn't play bad. He didn't play horrible. Like, he had a decent game. That was a bad turnover. Just kind of threw it up there. It was a 4th down play in the first half also that nobody in the stands around me had any clue what they were doing. Again, Jones takes a snap and fumbles it, and there was something else, and then he just got scared to death of the rush and just threw it up there. Literally 25 yards away from anyone. So that was, again, that's a turnover, and they were in UCF territory when that happened, probably in field goal range. Maybe not. Maybe that might have been one they were right outside of. But again, another bad, costly mistake. Second half, when they needed to stop, they just couldn't get it. UCF took it down the field and scored, which made it, I think it was 21-20. They went down and scored, made it 28-20. And UC's credit, they did come back and score a touchdown with about a minute left, but 2-point conversion failed, and that's the ball game. So they had some bad penalties. They had a player ejected. Satterfield was pissed after the game. It's the most pissed I've seen him in a press conference, whatever, kind of showing emotion on this one. Just basically kind of threw it down to the players and said, whoever shows up tomorrow in this locker room is really who's on this team and wants to be better, and we'll make them better. And, he was calling out. I never called out any individual players, which is good. But he definitely called the team out and just said, look, it's time to shut up or hit the road or whatever. A little mini Deion Sanders there, in terms of that stuff. So we'll see what happens. I think, I think this upcoming week is their legitimate last chance to win a game. This rest of this year, West Virginia, I didn't see the score, but I think they blew out BYU, didn't they? Or somebody was saying they at least were up a lot on them.
Yeah. And
then they got to play Kansas, who's maybe the second or third best team in the Big 12 right now. So, so Houston's not very good either. So I think it's going to come down to, again, who makes the most mistakes. So we'll see. Again, I'm not going to come on here and bash Satterfield. Said it many times already, and other people too. Like, I'm giving them a year. I'm giving them that, next year before if there's not marked improvement next year, then he'll probably even be the one to say, like, oh, I got a bigger issue. So,
right.
Because there's going to be a lot of movement at the end of the season. There's going to be disgruntled players. Losing does not create a good locker room.
No,
so
it does not.
There's going to be disgruntled players. There's going to be players who are saying, or transferring out. They'll have to go to the transfer market again. But I think some of these guys that are these freshmen, current freshmen, are going to step up. There was a kid named Barry Jackson, wide receiver, who had a really nice play yesterday, and they don't want to use him much because they don't want to lose his red shirt. So, but I could see him being one of the, if not the top receiver next year, but he's going to step into a major thing next year. The quarterback question is obviously going to be next year, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So, I will say I'm sure I've said this on a previous podcast, but the refereeing in football sucks. It's terrible. It's getting me almost not even want to watch football games as much anymore. If I see another terrible pass interference call or roughing the passer call, I'm about done. And so no excuse making. I don't hear anybody crying to me about, no, it's on both sides. It's just crap. But it happened to be against UC yesterday. Bad pass interference. I mean, it's right in front of me. The pass interference call.
Down at the
UCF
end zone
receiver grabs Jordan Young's face mask as he's running down the field going for the ball. Literally grabs UC's player's face mask and pushes off. And then Jordan Young dives and jumps into him with going for the ball, and they call PI on him. Two refs standing on both sides of the play. Couldn't see that, even though I could see it. So I think it's clear as day. So,
well, that's because you were watching it, and they probably were not watching it. So
yeah, so I just don't get it. So it's just those two calls. You could take those are the two calls that just infuriate me. It's not football. It's not football anymore. It's hey, a ball's thrown down the field. And everybody, if it's not caught, everybody just looks around. Where's the flag? There's going to be a flag. I'm sure there's going to be a flag. If I was a DB, I'd just be like, forget it. I'll walk off the field. I can't even play. So yeah, it's just bad. But anyway, that was my editorial for the day.
Well, listening to Satterfield or reading some quotes and reading some quotes from like Miles Montgomery or Ryan Montgomery, I guess it was.
Ryan Montgomery was the post-game interview.
Yeah, he was senior, correct?
Official post-game interview.
Yeah, and he basically, he said it almost sounded like he wasn't happy with his decision to come back. As far as saying that, we, a bunch of us came back, and this is not the way we envisioned this going. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but so I don't know if the locker room is starting to get divided, or if it's just, losing sucks. And this is not what, coming off a semi-successful last year of the AAC, and, new coaching staff, those type of things, and going into the Big 12, which I think shows Luke Fickell's lack of, I want to say lack of awareness, because I think he was aware of what he had, and that's why he bolted. But I think that,
I think played into it.
And I think it might be just the lack of being able to get a 4-star, 5-star type caliber player here to Cincinnati. And I know we've got, a couple loyal listeners that will, find us in the hallway, saying, oh, they've got 4 stars. You can win with 4 stars or 3 stars and blah, 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 blah. But, I just think that recruiting has to be better, and we have to utilize the portal and get some quality players, however that looks like. I mean, the offensive line, they're opening up holes running, the problem, like you said, is penalties and just the mistakes. This is what, the third time this year that the UC had 2 backs go over 100 yards. They've outgained their opponent again, 500 to
over 100 yards.
Yeah, by over 100 yards, and they still end up losing. So, and I think that's what Satterfield's pissed off about, is like, we're kicking their butts in every aspect, but yet we're still ending up losing because of the silly mistakes that we're making. Costly penalty at the wrong time, turnover at the wrong time. Emory Jones, on that 2-point conversion, looked like he was open, but I think he hesitated a little bit and threw it too high. And we saw that against the Miami game, and he did that, going for that touchdown on fourth down. The throw, it almost looked identical to the way he sort of hesitated it and then decided to wing it. So, Houston, they're on the road at Houston, so hopefully that doesn't, it doesn't harm them much, because Houston is not as good as UC, but you just, I mean, when you've got a bad team traveling, and people don't want to be there, it can make for a long 3 games. Long 3 games.
I mean, again, psychologically, it may actually, UC might be better playing on the road because they're getting a lot of boos at this point at home, and that's got to be for the players, especially. That's got to be just dragging on you when you're getting booed by your home stands. And I think a lot of you probably, if you asked every person booing, like, who are you actually booing at, they would say the coaching staff. But that doesn't, I mean, you don't know that from a player standpoint. You're on the field and they're booing, it's after a player makes a bad play or whatever, and those boos. So that can't be good for the morale, during the game. So, and maybe in a way, it's going to be good for them to get out of here, play another crappy team, and they won't hear any boos. It'll just be, whatever kind of home atmosphere Houston can bring, which I don't think they're known for a great atmosphere. So.
Nope. So we'll be back here next week and talking about hopefully a victory here for the Bearcats, get them to 3. Those of you that, are of the gambling nature, and that 4.5 thought was you're going to hit on that after they won their first 2 games. They got to win the rest in order for you all to hit. So don't mess with Vegas, I guess, is the key right there. So let's go on to something that, is a little more positive, upbeat. FC Cincinnati took down the Red Bulls in New York on penalty kicks.
Thank goodness.
I mean, I did not see the game. I heard there was a little controversy at the end. I was following it. Somebody was live blogging it on Twitter, and I was following it a little bit in between all the other college football games. And, they said FC had a goal right at the very end, and it got waved off. So I still don't know why. Do you have any explanation? Did you find anything on that?
I didn't read up on it, but I did see the highlights. I didn't watch the game either. I was out and about, but I did watch kind of the extended highlights, and I don't know if they called. It looked like it deflected off FC player's arm when they were standing in the goal. So I don't know if that was the official call. Was a handball or some kind of foul or something? I mean, the ball went in the goal. There wasn't no doubt about that. But it might have been they might have caught it off FC Cincinnati's hand, their arm, which would represent a handball. Right. So that's my only guess. But it just, it's just one of those where it didn't matter how FC won. They just had to win that game. They could not come back here. 1, you're playing a do or die game. 2, you're playing a team that all they want to do is just, run around and trip people and, roll around the ground themselves. I mean, they were trying to just dirty the game up because they know they're not as good talent-wise. So, that's how it always is, right, in sports. A team who's less talented, for them to win, they got to find other means to do it. And, the Red Bulls were using everything they could to do that. So we're done with them, have them pack their bags and go home. And now they got to wait around for who's going to win the series between New England and Philadelphia. Philadelphia's up 1-0. New England, but they don't play till like Wednesday or something. Wow. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Again, I'm not going to go on a rant like I did that last week about the MLS playoffs and who came up with that, man. They must live in Michigan or Colorado, waking bacon or something, because it makes no sense how FC Cincy doesn't play for 3 more weeks. Their next game is until the 25th or 26th.
Holy cow!
Yeah, because they got to wait it out because they stretch each round. So, FC Cincy played the first game of round 2 on a Saturday. The last game isn't until Wednesday of single games. So they're just, so then the same thing's got to happen for the third round, where they have this 5-6 day window of these games being played or not played. I mean, some of them won't be played, but they still have to have the slot.
They have to have that for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't start early for crying out loud. Oh,
right,
no,
exactly.
we can't start.
So yeah, so it's, they got a freaking vacation now, for the next time period.
NBA playoffs right there. I mean, that's what it's just, oh well.
So, yeah, they did what they had to do. They won the game. Wasn't pretty. I mean, the highlights were, they looked like they controlled the game, but.
Is it the same format for the next round?
No, they play from here on out. It's one game.
It's just one game.
One game.
So that's
and penalty kicks won't start till after an extra time period.
Okay.
An extra 30-minute time period, a more traditional way of playing a tournament type game. So, kind of rooting for New England, at least in this next game, just to, make them stretch that series out. New England and Philadelphia. So, bad news from the game was Matt Miazga, which I didn't see. They didn't have the extended highlight, but I was talking to someone, and I heard he got another yellow card, but he actually got 2 yellow cards yesterday. 3 yellow cards, and he got one the first game of the series, so 3 yellow cards, and you have to sit out a game. So he may, as of now, he's going to be, unless they appeal it or something, he's going to be missing the next game, which is not good because they're already down Nick Hagelin in the starting defense. So now they're down their best defender, so that could be a problem. But it's Miazga's fault again. He just can't shut his mouth during he did it during the penalty kicks. After he makes a penalty kick, he mouths off and says stuff into the next guy for the Red Bulls that's coming up. He did this in the U.S. men's national team game. He got a yellow card for basically the exact same thing. He was being a fill in the blank head to the next guy who was going to kick for who I forget who they were playing, talking trash to him and not giving him the ball and standing in front of him and all this nonsense and stuff. Same thing. He got a yellow card yesterday. So, he did it to himself.
Is that the reason why, after the game, the fans started throwing stuff on the field?
No, they're just being jerks.
But
asshole
I don't know if you saw the video, but
I saw the video of them throwing all the stuff on the field.
Yeah, one of the FC Cincinnati guys was making some sort of gesture. I won't.
I would too. In that case, I would as well.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was before or after the first thing was being thrown. So
Celentano, after he made the save, went to the baseline and looked at the crowd and was doing like something, cupping his ears and making.
Now this wasn't cupping his ears. It was another.
No, but I'm saying that started it. Like that started it towards the crowd, and then all the FC players ran over and.
Yeah,
and there was a few hand gestures made, and
they were cupping something else too. So
at the home game last week that I was at, the Bailey started the chant F, and they didn't say F. They said the word Red Bulls. That was the chant. And then they actually came over the PA and said, FC Cincinnati does not condone any kind of offensive language. Please cease and desist. Some kind of message like that, over the PA, they took a stop in the game and did this PA announcement.
So Noonan didn't grab the mic and just say, "You don't live in Cleveland," and stuff like that. No. You don't live in Columbus, I guess, because
that would be the soccer chant. Absolutely, that would have been hilarious if he'd done that.
Well, maybe next time. So
I'm sure the Red Bull fans weren't happy about that, but they suck. They're done.
No, they're done.
Go home. They're on vacation now.
That's right. They can cry for a whole nother year. Yep. But yeah. So we'll have to wait and find out who they're going to play. That will be a home game, though, correct?
From now on, they never have to leave Cincinnati.
Okay.
As long as they're even if they make the league chain, like the finals.
Okay.
It'll be here.
And that's good. So let's get down to the West End there and pack TQL Stadium for the boys in blue and orange. So speaking of the boys in blue and the boys in orange, game tonight. Big game tonight. That's why we're coming to you live on YouTube here at 3:30, 4 o'clock right now. And Bengals game, Bengals-Bills, 8:15 tonight. The place is going to be rocking and rolling. There's a lot of people heading down just to tailgate outside, then go to the game. Atmosphere is going to be like, I think, the January 2nd atmosphere before the injury to Hamlin. And, hopefully Burrow, and company can go through the Bills defense just like what they did to San Fran. We'll just have to, make sure that, there are, our offensive line holds up a little bit. Give me some keys for the game here, and I'll give you my keys for victory.
Well, before I say that, we're not getting any help from the teams playing the AFC North. I mean, Browns are blowing the Cardinals out, and that's
yeah,
already won. They already beat the Seahawks, and they blew them out. So,
yep, yeah, I was, yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Of course, Sean Watson wanted to come back and play against the,
sorry
Cardinals. Yes, the Cardinals, since the Cardinals traded their backup quarterback, who was their starting quarterback for the entire year. But oh well.
So keys for tonight. I think we talked a little bit about this last week. I would say, can Joe Burrow have the magic again? Like he had last week. Again, he plays that way. They're in the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl even. It's about as good as you can play. So, can he keep the magic? Can Mixon continue to, will they continue giving Mixon the ball to give him opportunities? Offensive line obviously plays into both of those, keeping Burrow up and Mixon running. I don't think the Bills are known for their pass rush. What's his name? Still out. He hasn't played all season, right? Yeah, yep. He hasn't played this year. So I think that's been kind of a weakness for the Bills this year has been their pass rush. So that's positive. We're not facing TJ Watt and Garrett, Myles Garrett and Bosa and all these other guys that we seem to play every week. So that's good. And the defense just continue to be opportunistic. I'm going to try not to, learn from experience of watching the Bengals and under Lou Anarumo, like don't get too caught up in the yards and the team, the teams get going from the 20 to 20, pretty regularly. Can the Bengals continue their, hey, once they get to the 20, we're locking them down or we're getting a key fumble or sack or whatever. I mean, it's happened too many times to just be coincidence, just be like luck in a way.
Right.
I mean, they're playing that way. So I'm going to, cross my fingers that can continue. I'm pretty confident tonight. I think the Bills are on a little downswing. So I think they were playing better last year when they came here and I think the Bengals were, at least in the first quarter for the Hamlin situation was handling them pretty well. So, and then obviously in the playoffs, they really handled them. So, I think,
which is just so crazy that a lot of the analytic predictors out there are giving the Bills a 63% chance to win and the Bengals, a 37% chance to win. And I'm like, okay, what is that off of? Because I don't know how they do it. That's what kind of analytics they're running, what kind of new math they're doing to do that. But if you watch the games, I think the Bengals are on the upswing of that, and the bell curve, right? If we're talking math and analytics, the Bengals are on that upswing of the bell curve, and the Bills have already peaked. I think they're going down, and I think a couple of keys in order for us to walk out of there with victory is I think we've got to do some of the same stuff we did against San Francisco out of under center. Let Mixon run a little bit, little play action, and then take a couple shots when we have it. And then defensively, we just, like you said, we have to, I don't want to say we have to contain Josh Allen, but we can't. I think Sam made the comment last week that Josh Allen, when he runs and he runs and gets productive yards, first down yards, or runs and gets a touchdown, he just seems to be more in the game. Whereas like last year in the playoff game, he was running a little bit, but he was running away from people, and then he was forcing throws, and that's where we came up with a couple of interceptions on him for that. So if we can continue that theme, I think the Bengals will be victorious. So prediction score tonight. What do you got?
Great. I don't even remember what I said. We predicted last week. I couldn't tell you what
Yeah, I think I went big.
I said Bengals 24-20.
Yeah, I think I went like 35 something or 30.
Yeah, you guys definitely had them scoring more than I did.
Yeah. So we've got faith in our boys in orange, and so hopefully they won't disappoint on Sunday Night Football. The other thing, or I wouldn't say it's news because we all knew that it probably wasn't going to happen, but the Bengals doing nothing at the trade deadline because they value draft picks more than a rental. So, it is what it is. It's like the Reds, right? I mean, it's like, okay, whatever. It is Cincinnati. That's the way they build their roster. That's fine. I just would have been nice to get the guard from Minnesota, Cleveland from Minnesota for a 6th-round pick, I think, or 7th-round pick, and then Chase Young for a 3rd-round pick. I mean, that would have been nice to have Chase slide, but oh well. We don't have that.
But that's the thing is you look at the comments on Twitter or whatever. I mean, it's what Cincinnati fans have done. I mean, we accept that this is the way we operate. We're almost, it's almost like a learned helplessness, like defeated attitude. Like, well, this is just how we do it. We never do anything to upgrade our team. So, oh well, I guess that's okay. It's not really okay. Like, we shouldn't be doing that. Like, and again, I'm gonna push back and say we value our draft picks. That's talk for we're being cheap. We don't want to pay. The Bears already signed Montez Sweat. They already re-upped him. We don't want to do that.
$94 million.
Yeah, he's going to be worse than a 7th rounder that we could have traded. Now, I'm not saying they had to trade a 2nd rounder. Right. I would not have done that.
No,
but I definitely would have 5th, 6th, 7th rounder. Absolutely, I would have come and driven him personally to wherever he needed to go to get a better player upgrade. So I said it last week. I said the Bengals ain't going to do anything.
Right.
I said, but I'm not accepting of that. I think it's crap. I think they're I think they're
but
cheap.
They've got confidence in their players, and they've proven.
Yeah, Irv Smith's going to be he's really going to help us get to the Super Bowl.
They've proven in the past.
They haven't. We haven't won the Super Bowl.
They took us to the Super Bowl. And
it's not winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, it's not winning the Super Bowl. No, you are right. But
New York fans don't say, "Hey, we made the Super Bowl. Great."
Who's New York?
Well, the Jets might because
I was going to say, you better. Yeah, the Jets might be like happy.
Yankee fans don't say, "Hey, I'm glad we made the World Series." I mean, we're ready to burn that city down. They haven't made the World Series for a while.
Yep.
We would be like, "Oh, at least we're close." We got Aaron Judge, great. So I put as much blame on the Bengal fans as I do on.
We got Volpe. We got Volpe at short. He's going to be there forever. The next cheater.
Yeah, right.
So
anyway, that's my other commentary for tonight.
Oh goodness! Yes.
No, they absolutely should have done something. They absolutely should have done something. They are not a better team now than they were a week ago.
Nope.
When they had a chance to make themselves a better team.
They're a better team now than they were 2 weeks ago because Burrow is
because Burrow's healthy.
Right, exactly.
That has nothing to do with Irv Smith.
No, it has nothing to do with Irv. Irv Smith. All right.
Carrying a 600-pound piano on his back running routes. Smith.
Well, they did bring up, what is it, Tanner Hudson?
Yay, there we go. Undrafted free agents are always the path to the Super Bowl.
Hey, he might be a big part tonight. You just never know.
Hey, hope he is. I mean, I really hope he is because we ain't getting any other chance. There's nobody else out there. So I hope he does. I hope he has a good enough game where Irv Smith just gets sent to the bench and we don't hear him again.
Put him on special teams. There we go. Run downfield, make a tackle, Irv.
Yeah. So I'm a big Tanner Hudson fan.
So let's fingers crossed, baby. Fingers crossed. All right. We are going to. You got anything else on? I know. Last week we did tell you we were going to do our topic of the week, UC basketball preview and Xavier basketball preview. We're going to skip that because our topic of the week, the Reds obviously are in the news with, how they just slid that in Saturday morning.
Well, college basketball does start. We can at least mention that.
Yes, they do. It does start.
Both UC and Xavier have a game tomorrow, correct?
Tomorrow night. Yep, tomorrow night.
I don't know if Miami does or NKU or whatever, but I'm sure they've all start this week.
Then. Yeah, they all do. And the only thing that I was going to say about Xavier is, they got 10 new guys.
They're like Colorado football.
They are like Colorado football. And Sean, listening to, I was coming home from a softball practice, and he was, it was on WLW, and he had his coach's show, and he was talking about the guys, and he really likes the point guard that he brought in. His name gives him the toughness that Xavier point guards had in the past, right? They're a little stockier, shorter, stocky guys that can get to the hole, get to the rim, and not get bumped off their spot. And Solly Bloom last year, there was a couple of times. I mean, I think you and I watched the game. I guess it was against Butler where he just got bumped and, like he traveled or something, fell down to the ground. He did that 3 or 4 times in a game. So Sean upgraded there. He liked that. There's a couple freshmen in that eventually will get some more playing time because they're very athletic and long. But that's what I have for Xavier. This month and a half is to meld this team together and hope for the best in the Big East. I think they're predicted to finish 6th in the Big East. So we'll see. And UC, the only thing with UC is they're still, about the appeal process on their 2 recruits transfers and I just know they lowered up now. So the NCAA may back down, but we'll see.
And the Ohio Attorney General is threatening the lawsuit.
Yeah, right. So we'll see where that goes. They'll probably, it might be a 6-week. It's sort of like who was a football guy that
North Carolina
Walker,
guy.
Yeah, Walker, I think his name was.
Yeah.
It took about 6 weeks and came back. So that's what Wes Miller and they're not coming out saying that publicly, but behind the scenes, they're thinking, okay, it might be a 6-week thing. And if you look at UC's non-con and early schedule, it's pretty bad. And maybe this was their thinking when they were, if these guys don't get eligible, we've got to do something to maintain, because we don't want a football scenario, right, on our hands there for boys, for basketball, when it's not even Thanksgiving and you haven't won a game yet. So
I think the listeners will talk about. We'll just say no. We'll talk about that next week.
We'll
ramp that up a little bit now they got a few games under their belt and we're seeing what's going on. So
but that would be a weekly occurrence in the week that was. We'll review and preview games and preview upcoming games for them. So all right, we're going to move it to our trivia segment here. And last week the trivia question was since we were talking about World Series, this major league player had 3 batting titles, or won a batting title in 3 consecutive decades. Can you name that person? And
I can, because you told me, but I didn't get it right beforehand.
So that person was George Brett. He won it in 76, 1980 when he batted .390, and then in 1990.
I didn't know he was still playing in 1990, so that would have been.
I think that was his
one little drawback.
Either his last year or the next year was it. So, so you have Sam was supposed to be here doing the
Yeah, I have one.
Yep. Go ahead and let's say that my dogs are whining here. They got to go out, and my wife isn't around, so I'm going to have to let the dogs out. So go ahead and
Just another one of my fun list ones. You got to list some teams.
The list.
Here.
Okay, so I'll give you a little time, and then you can talk about whatever. Okay. By yourself. You can
It's unscripted, folks.
Unscripted here, yeah, in a second. So
your question is, so the Rangers, Texas Rangers, won the World Series. Just happened. They were one of 6 teams who had never won a World Series. What are the 5 that are now that they've won? They're off the list. Who are the 5 that are left?
All right, give me 30 seconds. I'll be back. Play the music.
Well, folks, I guess I'm supposed to fill the air here. I know after the trivia time, we're going to talk Reds and Joey Votto and kind of that decision and what that means moving forward and all that sort of thing. I'll just say, there's a lot of people pretty upset about it in terms of the way the Reds handled it, in terms of not bringing them back. But I will say we need to calm down a little bit because there's possible he still comes back. I mean, he is a they can still negotiate a contract. They did the buyout, so he's technically a free agent, but he's a free agent to the Reds as well. So they could negotiate a new contract for him to come back at a lesser price. So stay tuned. I know we're going to talk about this more, but that's my quick trying to calm people down a little bit on that situation. So,
all right. So the 5 teams that, so you've got the Padres would be 1. The Angels did win. That's right. They won in 90, whatever. Brewers be 2. Rockies 3. Diamondbacks and Marlins both won. The Rays 4. And then let's see, who would be the other one? Oh, would it be the Mariners?
Yep.
5. There we go. Ding, 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 ding. Yay. All right, so my trivia question.
And of those teams, real quick, though, one of those teams, only one has never even been to the World Series.
That'd be the Mariners.
Yeah, I know. They're it. They're the lone team. Never been to a World Series.
Yep. All right, so my trivia question was, since we're going to be talking about Joey Votto here in a little bit, is in 2008, when his rookie year, he finished 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting in the National League. Who won it that year?
God, who knows? Who knows? Somebody that wasn't as I will say, without even knowing who it is, I'm sure they were not as good as Joey Votto in terms of the career.
No. So
that's the thing to look at, is how many people. That's some quick little research on how many Rookie of the Years ever became Hall of Famers or even became perennial All-Stars. I bet you it's a low number.
Anyway. Yeah.
I just think of Reds who have been Rookie of the Years.
Yeah.
None of them. I mean, they're pretty good with the Rookie of the Years, and
right.
They typically don't do anything much beyond that. So, anyway, so I am right. This person did not do. It's not nearly a career that Joey Votto had.
Correct.
Yeah. So this is National League Rookie of the Year in 2008.
Yes, right? That is correct. 2008. Let me go back for a second.
15 years ago.
Yeah, 2008. This person got. Where's it at? 158 vote points, and Votto got 76.
Yeah, I mean, is it a pitcher or a field player?
It's an everyday. I'll give you the position if you want me to.
Well, how long? I mean, they played 10 years.
Let's
even?
see. Let me pull up his Baseball Reference. He has a career 12 WAR, whatever that means. So, he played a total of a rookie from his rookie year, official rookie year, 1, 2, 13 years.
So he made it to 2020 then.
Yeah, I think 2017 was his last year because he played in one game in 2005, 11 games in 2006, and
so he barely was even a rookie.
Yeah. I mean, by rookie standards, he was, but
yeah.
by
so he really started in 05. Okay,
right. So, but I mean,
that didn't help me any. So
no, catcher.
Oh, catcher.
Probably doesn't help you any either.
Yeah, it didn't help me too much either.
Same division as the Reds.
I mean, it's not Yadi Molina, is it?
No.
It's yeah. Same division as the Reds.
Yeah.
So Cubs catchers. Couldn't have been a Pirate. It wasn't a Pirate.
No,
right?
no, it was a Cub catcher. Yeah.
So, it was a Cub, even a Cub catcher.
It was a Cubby. Yeah.
Not Contreras. No, Contreras isn't that old.
No.
No, he's nowhere near that old.
Let's see if anybody out there on YouTube
who the heck was the Cubs catcher from that time?
You guys know it. Chime in on the chat there. We've got it.
David Ross.
No, was not David Ross.
Yeah, I don't know who the Cubs catcher was in 2010 or whatever.
All right. Well, we'll save that for.
Was it the Cub? Would he have been the catcher for the World Series teams, or was that Contreras?
What year was the World Series team? I'll tell you.
They played the Indians, whatever year that was.
Yeah,
20.
I don't know. So he was in Chicago until he got traded at the deadline, looks like, in 2012.
Okay, so he wasn't with them then.
Yeah.
He won the World Series. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I'll also think about it, see if something pops in my head before the end of this.
All right. Yep. Think about it. And those of you out there in Twitter, go ahead and chime in on the chat if you can, or you can send us a DM on Instagram or on Facebook or Twitter at Cincy Sports Scene. All right, moving forward. I know I came in here just a minute ago, and Crawley was just calming everybody down about Joey Votto and stuff. So yeah, our topic of the week is Joey Votto and his legacy for the Cincinnati Reds, 17 years. Those of you that follow the show and you listen to our Hall of Fame broadcast from the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, we had this debate of, who do we think, the next wave of players to go into the Hall of Fame. And Joey Votto, we were talking about that, and I can't remember the consensus, but I think we all said he would probably get in based on the new analytics of baseball. I think that the last couple of years, I don't want to say it tarnishes him, but he was injured. His production was off from where it was. And, I don't, do I think he's a Hall of Famer? Yeah, I do. I don't know if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I do think he is a Hall of Famer, and definitely would be a Reds Hall of Famer for sure. But it'll be a little different not seeing number 19 out there come opening day, and knowing that he's probably not coming back. Thoughts, Crawley, on well, first of all, thoughts on Votto, his career, his legacy, and then thoughts on the decision that the Reds front office made.
Yeah, I mean, I was mentioning that a little bit when you stepped away there, in terms of the front office decision. I can't disagree with it from the head. The heart gets in the way a little bit sometimes, but from the head, like, I mean, he really wasn't. I mean, some people try to claim that he was so productive because of his home runs, but I mean, Joey Votto is not. I mean, if he's just hitting home runs, I mean, that's not Joey Votto anyway. So, Joey Votto's not a 197 hitter and, hits a home run every whatever at bats, and that's how productive he is. I mean, that's not a starting player to me. I mean, now Kyle Schwarber gets by with it. I mean, he is basically that exact player. I mean, he hits 200 and hits 45 home runs. So, I mean, he would frustrate the hell out of me if he was my first baseman or whatever position.
Leadoff hitter
now. Yeah, leadoff hitter. But he's obviously, the Phillies are being successful with that. So, I mean, I guess some people would say that could be Joey Votto's role, the way he hits now. So, I just, I think it'd be different if they didn't have these young guys that have, have something to prove and have proven a little bit. I mean, granted, CES is not a proven player whatsoever. I mean, he played half a season, had some success, a lot of potential there. So I'm not upset. I would not be upset if Joey Votto came back. I don't think I'd pay him the $20 million, but I'd be happy to see him come back at 13, 12, somewhere in there. And I will say, I'm totally honest on this, and it's not like I hid this before. A lot of my issue with the money for Votto is nothing to do with Votto. Has everything to do with the Reds, that I just don't trust them at all, the front office. That, if they bring Joey Votto back at $20 million, then they'll cry, well, that's our money. We've used our money to spend on any free agent. And there's a lot of more free agents I want before I want Joey Votto back. So, to help this team for this year, I'm not a big, sentimental sports person anymore. I want wins now. I'm starved of wins for the Cincinnati sports. So, if he came back at a certain price and they used him as a, 200 to 300 at bat guy to DH and play first base a little bit and could hit some home runs, that would be his, that's fine. Like, I'm okay with that. But is he going to be a better player than CES is at first over the course of the season? Probably not. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it would be, but I mean, just because CS is so, really unproven. But, I don't want that money to be spent and the Reds not get a bigger priority to me, which is a starting pitcher, which is potentially a power bat in the outfield or something. Obviously relief pitchers. So in the pecking order, he would be fourth or fifth for me in terms of priority. So if they do those other things and they're willing and he's willing to come back at $10 to $12 million, plus the seven.
Yeah,
I'm saying 7 plus the 4, plus 3 to 5
plus
more.
3 to 5 more. Yeah.
Yeah. Then
not
then
an additional 12. That would be the 20
I have no
million,
problem with that, but he can't be the free agent signing that covers the off season.
No.
And because I have so little faith in Castellini and Krall and those guys in doing major league deals, not minor league deals here, until they prove me otherwise, then that's where my concern would be.
Yeah. As far as wanting Joey Votto back, yeah, it would be nice, sentimental to go out as a Red, 18 years and ride off in the sunset, those type of things. But, listening to fans bleeding with their hearts and not their heads, saying that, he deserves a farewell tour and blah, 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 blah. I mean, if you listen to Joey Votto, he doesn't want any of that stuff. He just wants to go out and play baseball. And he even said in his goodbye, I don't know if you saw that video that he posted today. It was like 3.5 minutes long. And he just wanted to thank the city of Cincinnati, the fans, the ownerships. And he even said that, if baseball, it'll be strange if I'm going, in a different uniform. And he goes, and baseball may tell me that I'm not going to be in a different uniform. He doesn't know how free agency is going to pan out. He's a little nervous about that because he never had to worry about it. And, I think he ends up in Toronto just because Brandon Belt elected free agency and they have a first base / DH position open for Toronto. right now, and that would be a homecoming for him. And I think it'd probably be a good fit. And I think people of Cincinnati and Major League Baseball would be okay with that. Going back to Toronto to try for a ring. But I think he averaged like 205 or 204 for the last 2 years. That's not Joey Votto, and he wants to go out on his terms. He wants to go out, hopefully proving everybody that he can still hit. And the Reds just told him, it's like, look, we don't have the at bats for you that you deserve, right? And that's the thing that Nick Krall, and I don't think a lot of people, got that part of the article or the interview. And he said, looking at our structure, the money wasn't the issue. He goes, the money wasn't the issue. It's just we don't have enough at bats for Joey Votto that he deserves. And because you don't want to bring Joey Votto on your bench for $20 million and just be maybe a 1 day a week starter and a pinch hitter. And that's what the role was going to be. And, for Joey and for the Reds, that's not, you're not going to pay $20 million for that. I don't care who it is. Unless it's Ohtani, then you might, but because you'd get him at a discount there. I think the Reds made the business decision that needed to be made with their head and not their heart, and which is what they've done in the past in that stretch of 2000. They kept Griffey a little too long, Dunn a little too long, Brandon Phillips way too long. Even Barry Larkin, right? I mean, when Larkin was his last few years, they re-upped him. They signed him for 2 more years. I believe it was 2 or 3 more years. And he was past his prime. And it hurt our club a little bit. And, didn't get traded Chapman too late in the year. So, I'm glad that they made that business decision, but it still sucks. I mean, and you can, and I think people can be upset and sad, but they also can be like, okay, I get the decision, and it's a smart decision for this young team. And because the young players need to play. That's the only way they're going to develop, or say, okay, you're not developing. We've got to find somebody else.
Yeah. It's the first of hopefully a lot of interesting questions that will have to be answered, in the next month or two, whatever. I think the India question still has to be answered. That doesn't solve that issue. It doesn't solve, how many of these. I mean, Krall made it, hinted that, some of the guys that were up here the last part of the year, they're not guaranteed spots, in the lineup opening day, so.
What? Nick Martini is not going to be our starting right fielder?
He probably will be because his name's Nick. So, but yeah, and I know, and a lot of the comments yesterday on Twitter were related to Nick Martini. They were
yes,
saying,
there was.
That Krall will find the money for Nick Martini and a spot for him to play, but somehow they won't find a spot for Joey Votto.
Yeah, the big stuff that I saw was like, it's like, they played him over Joey Votto his last 2 games and blah 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 blah, and then it's like, well, he went 2 for 4 with 2 bombs, and Votto struck out and got ejected. So, he did play his last game, but he got ejected. How those type of things. But go ahead.
But so it'll be that. That's a big question coming up. What are they going to do there? Again, I mean, I think the Reds have a chance to win the offseason here with a few good free agent acquisitions. If Krall really isn't lying through his teeth and says that the Votto thing had nothing to do with the financial part of it, then okay, well then that means in theory you were willing to give him $20 million,
right? So we got $20 million to spend on somebody.
To spend it on next. Who's going to be $20 million?
We got more than $20 million to spend on people.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway, and then you mentioned the Votto legacy. Where would you rank Votto and best Reds player ever? Where's he on the list for you?
Well, I know he's the best first baseman ever.
No, best Reds player ever.
I know, but he's the best first baseman ever.
Well, you definitely clear cut over Perez.
Yeah, definitely.
Perez is a Hall of Famer.
Perez is a Hall of Famer. But I mean, I think Votto.
Perez managed 40 games for the Reds.
44 to be exact. So, yes, he did. Votto may come back and manage. You never know.
Player coach.
Yeah. Like Pete. So he's probably top 5, definitely top 10, top 5, probably top 3, just because of longevity. And
I mean, do you put him third?
I mean, I would have, well,
I mean, for me, I haven't, the easiest one for me is number 1. And then I have to go.
Who's your number 1?
Bench
over Rose.
Yeah. And I factored in, maybe it's comparatively, like when he's many
best player of all time. Yeah.
Best catcher of all time.
Right.
Pete Rose is not the best, whatever, utility player or outfielder or third baseman or whatever you want.
He might be the best utility player of all time because he bounced around everywhere. So
for me, number 1 is bench.
Yep.
And then the question is who's second?
Yeah.
I think Morgan's ceiling is number 2.
Yeah.
Like when he was at his peak, he's number 2. But he didn't play,
MVPs.
He didn't play, the longevity with the Reds, I think, would be what hurts Morgan.
Right.
That's where Rose might edge him out just because he played so much longer with the Reds.
Larkin
and Votto, and potentially Votto and Larkin. And I mean, there's probably your top 5 right there. Yeah. Morgan, bench, Larkin, Rose, and Votto. So who of those 4 other guys does Votto beat out for you? That's a tough question.
I mean, that is a very tough question. The one ding on Votto, and he didn't bring a championship here to Cincinnati, right? All those other guys have a championship, and I know it's a team game.
Yeah, and we do, and I ding him for that too in my mind, but also when I step back from it, I'm like, well, that's not his fault. I mean, he had nothing around him.
No, it's not his fault, but
I'm sure if Votto's playing in 1976 as the Reds' first baseman instead of Perez, I think they're still winning the World Series. So
yeah, they probably are. Well, I don't know. I mean, is he Mr. Clutch like Big Doggy was?
You said he's better.
He's better. I mean, and I think he is because I think I did see a stat that said, like 2 out hits with runners in scoring position. Votto actually has more 2 out RBIs than Tony Perez. But, in those key situations, if runner on second in the playoff game, is Votto going to deliver? I mean, they got no hit for crying out loud, in a playoff game. So, and he was in his prime. So I don't know if, I don't know. I don't know. I think, I mean, it probably, I mean, I do agree with bench, but I think Rose is up there just because of his totality in baseball. If we're just talking about his, and even just for the Reds.
I'm only concerned the time with the Reds.
Right. But I mean, he, rookie of the year, MVPs. So, I mean, Morgan was my favorite player. So, I love little Joe, but.
And Morgan won 2 MVPs, right?
2 back-to-back, 75, 76. Yeah. He was the engine.
Larkin won 1.
Larkin won 1.
Votto won 1.
Yep. So
Rose won. Did Rose win an MVP?
Yeah. Rose, I think he's won 2 MVPs. Or at least 1. I know that. I'll do a quick search. Pete Rose.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to a little bit of the stats. It's almost like kind of an analytics versus
73. Rose won the MVP. He was MVP. He finished second once, but he does have the Rookie of the Year. 15
But one
All
MVP.
stars.
And
Yeah,
Bench
one MVP.
has how many did Bench have?
Bench,
One
I
or
think,
two?
has two. Bench has two. 'Cause I think Bench had 1970 and 72.
So what I was saying is, I think the Votto discussion in this top 5 is like, it's kind of like analytics versus old school baseball. You know, like, you know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're more of if you lean on the analytics harder, I think you put Votto higher.
Right.
If you lean on the old school
Then
more,
you put 'em a little
Morgan's
lower.
higher, Larkin's higher. You know, I
Bench
don't know
and
about
Rose.
Rose. Rose and
Wow.
Votto might be kind of similar in that. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, Rose was an on-base guy. You know, he wasn't. But now Votto hit more home runs than Rose did, though,
Right.
too. So, you know, quite a bit more.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's a little bit of,
But Rose has just a little bitty more amount of hits than Votto, just a little bit. You know?
But that's also longevity too, and not all of that was for the Reds.
Right. But he did have 3,000 hits with the Reds.
Does Votto rank second for the Reds as a Red with hits, or is that still Larkin or somebody?
Let me see here. I think. Where's it at here?
Yeah, us looking up stuff is not great for.
No, it's not great. Sorry. But yeah, we should know this. All-time franchise history. Here we go.
Larkin has 2340.
2340. So let's see. Rose with the Reds.
Or is that 35 something?
3358.
Yeah, 3358. Larkin.
Yeah.
Votto, I have only fifth, 2135.
2135. Yeah.
Behind Concepcion. I would not have guessed that.
Well, Concepcion played what, 19 years for him?
Yeah,
18 years.
Votto played 17 years, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. But Concepcion
played in 400 more games, so he must have not been hurt, whereas Votto was hurt quite a bit.
I think Votto was hurt. I mean, he played there was 3 years where he had under 60 games.
Concepcion had 1,500 more at bats. Than Votto.
So yeah, Concepcion wasn't a 300 hitter, so, but yeah, so that's 200 some more hits out of those many at bats. 300 more hits, whatever it is, but yeah. So I think Votto, definitely Reds Hall of Famer.
That's easy.
Number retired or not?
Well, the 5 we're talking about are all their numbers. I mean, obviously Rose isn't, but
right. Rose is, yeah.
Is 14 retired?
Probably not.
Were they able to retire? I don't remember.
Yeah,
I should know that. Were they able? Are they allowed to retire it?
Well, let me see. Retired numbers. Yeah. Well, 14 is retired.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously Bench is, Rose is, Morgan is, right?
Morgan is, Concepcion's is, Larkin's.
Larkin is 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I say yes, Votto's number is retired.
Frank Robinson's number is retired. Tony Perez's number is retired.
Yeah.
Big Clues is retired. So yeah, I think. I mean, they'll wait till a few years until he makes the Reds Hall of Fame. I think before they retire his number. Yeah. But
I think his number should be retired. Easy walk into the Reds Hall of Fame.
Yep.
No doubt there. I mean, freaking, what's his name? Just got in.
Bronson Arroyo.
No, Danny Graves just got in.
Danny Graves. Hey, he's the all-time saves leader for the Reds.
He flips the Reds fans off when he walks off the field. So, yeah. But Danny Graves makes the Reds Hall of Fame, and then Shotzi should make the Reds Hall of Fame.
She might. You never know.
So, but anyway, those are easy. The question is, where is he fit? That's where we need the fans to chime in on. Where's he fit top 5 for the Reds? If we agree Bench is number 1, then who is 2, 3, 4, 5? And then we've said who we think our top 5 are.
Right.
And then the other question would be, does he make the Baseball Hall of Fame? And I know
Baseball
you're
Hall
a
of Fame.
yes. I'm borderline. Back a year ago, when we had this conversation, I think I said no.
Yeah, I think you said no. I think I said he was a surefire Hall of Famer if he batted 300, like if he ended up with a 300 career average, obviously. And he did not. So I think he gets in just because, the Hall of Fame is getting soft.
Yeah, it's really the Hall of Very Good.
Right. And so I think he will probably make it. So based upon his, lots going to be too, based upon his peers who's retiring the same time he is and stuff. Cause I mean, then, who were the first basemen during that time frame, right? And how many of them are in and who's coming in, right? Like Paul Goldschmidt, when he retires, how many years behind Votto will he be? So, Miggy, Miggy's a surefire Hall of Famer, but
I don't think I would rather have Joey Votto than Paul Goldschmidt for a career.
Yeah, I would too. But I'm just saying, you got to look at the contemporaries out there and what's happening, with that, and because that's how voters think sometimes with splitting the votes.
And the Cardinals get a benefit of the doubt.
Right. So, but yeah, that might have to be a poll question. So, those of you that are listening and watching live,
send us your top 5 rank. And if you disagree, I mean, maybe somebody has Frank Robinson in there, maybe somebody has Tony Perez, maybe some, as your top 5. I would agree I think you and I are in agreement though, that's our top 5, right?
Yeah. And we also, like Frank Robinson might be in there if you take the totality, but I think we just have to look at just the Reds.
He would be in there with the totality. I mean, he might be number 1 if we take the totality.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And I think it'd be Bench or Robinson.
Yeah. So
we're just focused on the Reds. You got to be only playing for the Reds.
Right.
What we're talking about here.
All right. So you'll be looking for that on Twitter, a little poll there, and Facebook. We'll try to get that going here. So, all right, that about wraps us up. We are less than 3.5 hours away from kickoff tonight. Hopefully, those of you that are heading down, you're already down there, and you are, being loud. I know it's supposed to be. I think it's the stadium night. So make sure you're wearing either black or orange. Don't be that one person like me that would stand out and wear white. So make sure you fit in and know your section. You can always go to the Bengals website and they have that, which section's black, which section is orange. So till next week, hopefully Sam will be back with us. You can find us here on YouTube at Cincy Sports Scene, and then listen to us on all your podcasting platforms there. Next week's show, I think we'll talk a little bit of UC basketball, Xavier basketball, and our topic of the week. We might just be a GM for the day and take over Nick Kral's spot. And since he has all this money to burn, we can come up with a draft of free agencies. So free agent players that we would like to see on the Reds, make believe obviously, but it should be fun. So got anything else to add, Crawley?
No, just everybody have a good week. Hopefully starting with the Bengals win.
That's right. Let's get a Who Day out there. And until next time, everybody, take care.
See you.